Let's be real. Starting, running, and scaling a coaching business can feel exhausting. I mean, you've got the marketing, the hustling, the selling, all that stuff you didn't realize you would need to master when you decided to start a coaching business. For anything like me, you started your coaching business to change the world, to improve the lives of others while improving your own. Well, the truth is, running a business doesn't have to be as hard as many of us have made it out to seem. And you don't even have to do all that hustling stuff if you don't want to. You really can get into flow, into your zone of genius, and get back to the work you were sent here to do. But you have to ask for help. You have to be willing to work in new ways. You have to be willing to open up your mind to mentors who might be doing it differently than you've ever considered. And you have to be willing to actually implement new ways of thinking and running your business. If you're up for that, stay tuned. I'm Hanna Hermanson, your certified coach, international speaker, author, and yes, the founder of Dream Life is Real Life and the host of this show. And I've been able to help hundreds of coaches build, scale, and enjoy their online businesses. Essentially, make their dream life their real life. And if you'd like help improving your business life and get your coaching business to the next level, we might be able to help you. Head on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show to get all the resources and episodes that we talk about in this community. You can join our Facebook community, you can find me on Instagram, but more importantly, if you're really ready to integrate what you learn here today and on other episodes, then you'll be able to set up a complimentary 10-minute chat with my team. Again, at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, no strings attached. We love getting to know you and seeing what are the right next moves for you. But now let's get on to the show. In this podcast, you'll find the real people, concrete tactics, and weekly motivation and inspiration to make your dream life and business real. I started this podcast to bring you the role models that I never had. We talk to successful entrepreneurs, freedom seekers, business owners, and people living life on their own terms. To be a true leader, to create the legacy you desire, and to live in alignment, you need a tribe lifting you up. And I've made it my mission to be your tribe, to bring them to your ears at least, because after all, we are all in this together. Now, let's cue the music. All right, friends, today we are hanging out with Jake Kelfer. He is a lifestyle entrepreneur, life elevator, and coach to ambitious entrepreneurs and freedom seekers. And he helps people create incredibly impactful and profitable businesses. He is a best-selling author of Elevate Beyond and Elevate Your Network, which are high-energy motivational pieces, and he also speaks on those topics. He's also a founder of the Professional Basketball Combine, which helps NBA draft prospects. See, I trip over this. This is so different to me. But okay, NBA draft prospects turn their dreams of playing pro into their reality. He has his work featured on Forbes, Sports Illustrated, ESPN. That's amazing. So glad that you are here today on the Dream Life podcast, Jake.
Yeah, thanks so much. I know we're going to have the greatest conversation. Very excited for it.
Well, it's such a colorful intro, right? So you've written books, you've worked with NBA folks, you help entrepreneurs. Like, what is the backstory on all of this here? How did this all come to fruition for you?
Yeah, so this is great. And it begins with me like having the dream when I was a little kid to play for the Lakers. Okay, I wanted to play for the Lakers.
I'm a Kings fan, but okay, go on.
Who's your team?
Well, I live in Sacramento, so I have like Kings, but I like the Milwaukee Bucks because I'm from Wisconsin. So anyway.
Okay. I'm drinking out of a Wisconsin water bottle right now. So we're all good. We're all good.
Okay, I'll let you go on the Lakers piece, but
thank you.
Tell us more.
So that was the dream, right? Like I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be a Los Angeles Lakers player. That was the whole dream. And unfortunately, I stopped growing at 5'8", and I wasn't good enough to play in the NBA. So I said, well, I'm going to work for NBA players. And my first job out of college was working for Los Angeles Lakers. And while I was there, I had an incredible time, met some incredible people, but really had a moment where I realized that I wanted to make a bigger impact than what I was currently doing in my job. And that led me to writing my first book. Ended up launching that when Kobe Bryant retired, kind of like a serendipitous moment. Is like I had grown up with Kobe. He retired. I retired. I launched my book. It became an Amazon bestseller. I traveled all over the country, got invited to speak in China, and things started to happen, but I was missing the sports. So I was like, well, how can I help athletes? How can I help people achieve their true potential in the game of basketball? So I created an event that has helped now over 70 guys sign their first contract in 30 plus countries around the world. And from there, people started saying, well, Jake, how did you do this? How did you build these businesses in different industries? Are there commonalities? What are the secret sauces? And I started coaching people. And now we really focus on coaching entrepreneurs who want to get to that six-figure mark. And we do it through connection.
Yeah, I think so many people can relate to that, whether it's, professional sports or landing that dream job, right? Yeah. So you did the right things. You even got into that dream organization. But then the same thing for me, like I landed my dream job at the University of Wisconsin and I got in that cubicle and then I hated it. Right. And so I think it's so important to recognize that dreams evolve and change. And it sounds like you're kind of a serial entrepreneur where you get into a business or a role, and then you're always looking for that next, that better. And I just want to honor that, because I know I talk to people who are like, I should just be content here. Like, this is the business I wanted. Like, I did it, but I guess I just have to try to like it harder. And it's like, no, you can change your dreams. You can evolve. You can jump from, industry to industry. And I'm curious if that was just something natural to you, or how you came to realize that you could jump from industry to industry.
Well, I think, the thing that you just mentioned about me, which is constantly going to different things and always wanting more and trying to level up, that is a huge strength. But it's also been something that's prevented entire fulfillment. Mm-hmm. And for me growing up, I'm very ambitious, right? You can hear it in my voice. I have incredible energy and I always want to show up and perform. But my mom, she's a saint. She used to text me, live in the moment and enjoy the journey. And in the beginning stages of being an entrepreneur and a coach, it was let's go, go, go. Let's win, win, win. Let's see result, result, result. And let's keep going. But what I've truly realized is that success for me is about pursuing greatness relentlessly, pursuing it with that same ambition, but also enjoying every moment along the way. Enjoying the wins and the losses, enjoying the obstacles that pop up and the questions of what am I supposed to do now? Realizing that the doubt that I may have is only a moment in time, and that I can break through that to achieve something even greater on the other side. And that's brought so much more enjoyment and harmony into the work that I'm able to do for myself and for others. And I think that that's something so powerful that we can tend to lose sight on, is we can praise or look at other people and see what they're doing and think we have to do it their way to get where we want to go.
Yes.
In reality, we can use their systems and their processes with our own touch that makes sense for us. Yeah. And so I love the direction that you've taken that so far in this conversation, because we have been able to give so much already. So I love what you were just asking there.
Yeah. So are you just telling us to enjoy the journey, Jake?
I'm telling you to work your ass off, but enjoy it in the process, right? And look, for me, I think this stems from my childhood. I have two parents who I'm very grateful to have. I love them both dearly. And my dad and mom are both entrepreneurial in their own way. My dad has had his own business for as long as I've been alive. And my mom was a clinical social worker and taught at the USC School of Social Work. So I have her understanding of empathy and compassion and love and present moment living. And I have my dad's what it means to wake up at 5 a.m. and work my butt off to execute on greatness. And I know what it means to be a dad, and eventually for myself from my dad, because he never missed a single sporting event that I ever had from the time I was 5 till 18 years old. And so I've been able to blend those two together to really create life enjoyment, which I think is what we all seek in the pursuit of creating a big, successful business.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's amazing that you were able to see your parents as role models and kind of take the strengths and the qualities and the mindsets that they had and, make it into your own successful, weave it into your personal path. But one of the reasons why I started this show and what I do is because I didn't grow up with those types of role models. I love them. Like my parents are also saints, but they just had a very different perspective on life and work and how we should be. And so for me, I had to look outside of my immediate circle and do a lot of networking to get in the circles that would help me, be an entrepreneur and stay this course. And I know this is something that you're really passionate about as well, is, filling your network with resources and people that can continue to propel those strengths that you have, right? No matter where you're starting, it's always helpful to have people that push you forward. Would you agree?
100%. 100%. And I think networking is so key.
So I know you wanted to dig into this, and I'm ready to talk about, how we can find those cheerleaders, those team members, and the folks that, again, keep us on our path and moving forward. So where do we begin if we want to grow our network?
So I think it's really important for us to understand something here because let me ask you this. Would you agree that networking is key to your success?
Absolutely.
Would you agree that you can't have a romantic relationship with someone else if there is no connection?
Correct.
Would you agree that you cannot have a business without customers?
Definitely.
Would you agree that you cannot learn from a mentor if you do not have a mentor you are connected to?
For sure.
At the fundamental element of what we are doing in our life, both for personal enjoyment and professional growth, it stems to one truth: connection. That connection with ourself, with other people, is the way we are going to be able to create a life of freedom and happiness, which when you ask anybody is, what do you want in life? I want to be happy and I want to have freedom.
Yeah.
Well, we know that the number one indicator to long-term happiness is our relationships. And we know the number one way to have freedom is through our relationships because that grows and scales everything that we want to do. So we all understand that networking can be very important. But where we tend to see as a society networking go down by the wayside is we see networking as an obligation, not as something that's fun and exciting to participate in.
Yeah.
We see it as, I don't have this personality. I don't want to network. I don't want to be a salesperson. I don't want to try to go slide into 100 million DMs and try to be this person that I'm really not. Right?
And for me, I use the excuse I'm an introvert. That's so draining. And I love what you said about the salesy piece, because before we get into how to do this, I do just want to double down on this mindset around networking, because I think sales, it's kind of gotten a slimy reputation. And people come to me a lot and say, with their business that they don't want to be selfish. They don't want to look like they're trying to be something that they're not, or they don't want to make it about them. Or if they get too good at this, they might be better than other people. And it's whoa. If you're going to achieve anything, there's this quote by Zig Ziglar that in order to get what you want, you have to help enough other people get what they want. So all these people, even if the people you're looking at that you're jealous of, or you think that they're selfish, that's your own projection. And when you succeed, when you earn money, when you impact a lot of people, it's because you've served at that level, right? And so this was a huge transformation for me too, as an introvert who wants to do everything in my yoga pants with a glass of wine and my dog by myself. It's well, that's never going to get you to these levels on your vision board, Hanna, because you've got to reach masses. It's not just about you. So,
right. And you want to know what's really selfish?
Back to you.
You want to know what's really selfish when we talk about this? Is what's selfish is not giving people your greatness.
Yes.
What's selfish is reserving that for yourself and thinking that by not reaching out, you are actually being better for them, because then you're not bragging. But really, all you're doing is not giving the world your greatness. And because here's the truth. When it comes to connection, there is no one style that is the best style. You want to know the best style? It's your style. Because we need to understand in our business that it's not about pleasing everybody. We are a people-pleasing society. We want to be liked, okay? Because one of our desires at our core is to be loved, to be heard, to feel complimented, to feel that we matter. And so one of the things that we do is we try to please everybody. We want to help everybody. We want everybody to like us. When in reality, if we're trying to grow and bring true depth and connection and have meaningful relationships, You know what it means is we don't need everyone to like us. We need the right people to love us.
Right.
We need the right people to be a part of our coaching programs. We need to attract those people into our life. And you know where that starts? With ourselves. It starts with how we connect with ourselves, and it starts with how we show up for other people by being our true style, owning that style, living that style. And if people don't like your style, they aren't your people.
Right.
It's that simple. And so I think that's something super important to understand is that you don't have to have the energy like I do. You don't have to have the calmness of somebody else. Mm-hmm. You need to have what works for you and use that to mix all the ingredients to bake the biggest cake. And that's when we start to really build the right relationships without the salesy approach, but with a sense of confidence and internal advancement.
Yeah. Be you. Another great cliche that you shared with us, right? Like enjoy the journey and be yourself. But here's the thing about cliches that I always say, they're cliches for a reason because they're tried and true. And we keep saying it until you get it, until you experience it, right?
And oftentimes with the cliches, until you're ready to hear it, you don't see it, right? You hear it, but you don't understand it. You don't process it. Which then leads us to one of the most important pieces of actual connecting with others is in order for us to truly connect with people, we have to ask the right questions. We have to ask the right questions because oftentimes when we're prospecting, when we're trying to get mentorship, when we're even trying to date or find romance, we ask questions that feel safe, that are likely to lead to the answers we want. Okay? Mm-hmm. Where we need to ask the right questions that give us the answers we need. And those answers allow us to connect deeper, leads to more in-depth responses, and allow us to grow. So I think that's something that's really important as we talk, as we now start to like turn it into some tactical things, is asking incredible questions and then listening with the intent to process, validate, and understand rather than the intent to respond.
Yeah. And coaches know this. Coaches are literally bred to ask questions and then listen. And we know inside of our programs and with our clients, it's all about how good you can ask questions and guide them to their answers. And then for some reason, when we put on our marketing hat, it's like, do I pitch? I don't like this. It's like we lose that skill in some way. So I'm really excited for you to help us think about what those questions might be and how we do translate who we are into connections like you're talking about.
For sure. So let's break it down. I mean, Hanna, let me ask you this. For everyone's listening, I'd love to break it down in terms of how do we approach either a prospect or how do we approach what I call a 1-2 stepper, someone who is 1 to 2 steps above us, maybe a mentor, someone that we want to have a partnership with. Let's pick an avenue and break it down a little bit.
Yeah. So I think listeners are thinking, clients, how do I get clients? But I'm going to ask a better question. Instead, you'll have to talk about these 1-2 steppers because these are these strategic partnerships that I think make getting clients and attracting opportunities way easier, right? We've talked on the show about marketing and pitching and getting clients. But I love this 1-2 stepper approach because this is where you can set up solid referrals and more what I would call like feminine marketing strategy where people come to you because of your network. So let's go with 1-2 steppers. If that's what you're calling them.
Yeah. 1-2 steppers, 1-2 steppers, and this is something that, I'm sure you talk about all the time is we need to be 1 to 2 step above our ideal client. We need to always make sure we're ahead to get them the result they desire, right? This is now us putting ourselves in that shoe for those people that are 1 to 2 steps above us in whatever aspect we're looking for, right? If we want to find a partner to eventually be in their summit, to be on their podcast, to have them promote us via their email list, whatever it may be, this is how we want to approach it. And the best way that we're seeing right now is Instagram. Okay, and we'll focus on Instagram just for specificity here. And
it's the reason we're chatting, right? So it works.
Yep. We started connecting through Instagram. I had heard you through a friend and then reached out and then connected on email as well and connected all the dots. And so in Instagram, the number one question that we start to have is this doubt, okay? And the question we begin to ask ourselves when we want to connect to these people is, well, what if I reach out to them and they don't respond? Or how can I reach out to someone, but I'm just starting? Or how can I reach out to someone if I have nothing to offer? If I have no value, what value can I actually add them, right? Because everyone will tell you, You need to add value right away. And then, but we said, well, what does value look like? So I'm gonna break down a script, and then we'll share a couple ways that we can actually add value in this process to bridge the gap here. And the easiest way to connect with people, and this is after tons and tons of DMs and different approaches, we've boiled it down to this as the easiest way to get in touch with someone. And the first part of this, when you're reaching out to one of these 1-2 or someone that you want to connect with, is to first and foremost address them by their name. Okay. And we think this is so mundane, but the amount of people that call me Jack or Jeff, even though my name is Jake, is unreal. Okay. The amount of people, Hannah, do people spell your name incorrectly because you don't use an H? You just have Hanna, right?
Yeah, I let him off the hook on Instagram because my last name starts with A. Like, I could be Hanna Ermanson, but in email, this is my, like, I cringe. It's like, it's right in the email. Spell it right.
So you're unique in the sense that you have a name that starts like with a letter that could be good. So on Instagram, I respect that you cut them some slack, but this is the easiest way to turn somebody off. Okay. But it's also the easiest way to start to show humanity. All right. Yeah. The second thing that is so important here is to do what we call the fun fact frenzy. So I'm all about making networking and connecting fun. I think that if it's fun, it sticks. And what's fun, we do more often. And so this is the fun fact frenzy. So before you reach out to anybody, okay, and let's just use me and you for example here. Let's say I want to reach out to you, Hanna. I would look at your profile real quick. I'd maybe note that you're from Milwaukee. I'd note that maybe you lived in Sacramento. If you tag that in your photo, maybe I'd see some of your previous work. Maybe I'd see you post about your podcast. Any one of those things I can comment on in that initial DM, and immediately your guard drops 100%. Because instead of thinking, what does he want from me? You now start to say, oh, wow, do we know each other already? Like the change in our frame of our mindset is incredible through that one simple thing. And then the next thing that we do is, if we're trying to just connect with someone, is to let them know that we're very excited to connect with them, that we're looking forward to connecting with them, that we are excited to continue the conversation. And when you do that, address by the name, mention a fun fact, and open the conversation up, it allows you to start the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you'll find that people respond really, really well to that, because now what we've done is we've taken the million of spam messages and we've broken through the noise by having something intimate and by addressing them by their name. That person now feels like we're part of the team. But now the question becomes, well, you have these people, you started to reach out to them. How do you actually build the relationship? Like, what comes next, right? Well, what comes next is, how do you add value to these people? And the first way is by sharing how you found them or by complimenting them. Every person always asks, well, how did you find me? As coaches, we're programmed to find out, how did you find me? Mm-hmm. We want to know because we want to see what marketing channels are working. We want to see, did they get referred to us? We want to track our data. People will always ask you, and the more successful, the more you value them, the more they're going to ask these questions, because they're probably having more people reach out to them.
Yeah. So far, everything you're saying, Jake, I feel like also applies to prospects or clients that you want to work with. I think that, we made that distinction at the top, but so far, I feel like these are also the things that you want to approach a person that could work with. That could be in your program. Is that true?
Yes, it's very similar. The one big difference is with a prospect, I like to ask a question right away and come from a place of an expert rather than a place of a connector. And so that's the big separation there. But it's great. It's a great point, because look, at the end of the day, it's about having a human conversation with another human being and seeing if we're the right fit. Whether you're qualifying them or they're qualifying you, that's what we're trying to figure out. That's the business side of it, right? And so we want to, once we have a conversation rolling, we want to let them know how we found them, right? Hey, I was listening to your podcast with Jake, and it was so fun. It totally hit me in this spot. Okay, that's really valuable, because now I know you're listening to podcasts. We can share that. It's awesome. Another thing is to compliment them. Let's say you've purchased their book, downloaded their freebie, listened to their webinar, signed up for their masterclass, bought their low ticket item if they're running a sale or a program or something. Let them know that you invested in it. People love to communicate with their customers, right? If you have 100 people reach out to you and 3 of them talk about how they bought from you and the other 97 just mention how they search your Instagram, those 3 people are probably going to get a better response rate. Another way that we really recommend building credibility with a 1-2-stepper is podcast tag, okay? And podcast tag is, hey, you're watching this podcast right now, screenshot it on your phone, post it, tag both me and Hanna, and boom, now you're in our inboxes. You've now removed yourself from the request segment, and now you're in the inbox. We're also likely to share that, giving you more eyeballs and name recognition. Now, when you reach back out, we will have seen either your previous message or we will automatically get your new message and see that we already interacted previously. These are just some of the ways that we can start to create value and start to add more touch points in a way that serves both parties to advance the relationship.
Yeah. The same thing is true for, like you're saying, like whatever you want from them. So I've used this to get featured in Forbes. I've like made warm fuzzies with editors on Twitter. And it's not, it's like, it's a longer game than just like one DM, right? It's like you share something of theirs, you comment on their tweet, you warm them up. And it is amazing how those like personal touches go a long way. And I love what you're saying about how like it's a person-to-person conversation. Like sometimes I have to reel clients in when they're getting like frustrated in the DMs or like people just aren't connecting with them. It's like, okay, well, who are you what's the mindset you're going on Instagram or wherever with? And they're like, I just got to hit my numbers. And I'm like, no. Like when we go out and look at our news feed, like, do they have a $sign on their forehead? Do they have can they help me? Again, this is where we have to make it less about ourselves and more about like the value and the community and like these longer term relationships that you can build. Because what you're saying, Jake, is not just like a one and done, in and out of your DMs, I get what I want kind of thing, right?
For sure. I mean, everybody can win in this game. There is enough money to be exchanged, enough energy to be exchanged, enough people to help. And here's the other thing. Sometimes we get caught up in this, right? The looking at the $signs on their forehead, right? Is this a prospect that can pay me rather than is this Emily who I'm looking at, right? And sometimes we got to go back to remembering this. Me and you could sell the exact same thing. We could have the exact same bio, the same credibility, the same power statement, the same link tree, the same website, the same freebie, the same followers. We could have the same exact everything. But the minute you open your voice and the minute I open my voice, we are 2 completely different people, 2 completely different businesses. We could use the exact same coaches. We could use everything to the T. Everything would be the same. We will still attract different people based off of our personalities. And sometimes we get so caught up in competition of beating someone else that we forget that this game is collaboration. This game is about working with people to find the greatness within each one of us, to use our different expertises and zone of geniuses to bring out new clients that are great fits. It's about referring to other people who may be able to serve someone, even though you may lose that money right up front. The world works in a we is greater than me mentality, right? That's how the world works. And the more we can serve other people, the more we can give to other people, the more we're able to receive ourselves. And so I know we're doing this on video, so I want to do a little something with you real quick. And for everyone listening, I know we can't see you, but I want to do this. This is a little fun thing because this puts everything into our perspective. So real quick, Hanna, and for everyone that's listening, put your hand in the shape of an M, okay, just like this, down by your waist, okay? Down by your waist. And if you've seen this before, don't spoil it. And what you do is this represents a me mentality, okay? And I'm putting my hand on the screen. This is a me mentality. And a me mentality is somebody that tends to focus on what can you do for me? How can I use you to get to where I want to go, right? And we start to think about that. But and you start to grow. Okay, and you start to grow and you start to raise your hand. So start to raise that M as high as you can, as high as you can. At a certain point, you're going to get stuck. Okay, you're going to get stuck because with a me mentality, you can only go so far. But the minute you change that me mentality to a we mentality, you can change that M into a W, flip it over, and then start to rise and see how much higher you can go and raise your hands as high as you possibly can. That is the true power of we is greater than me, because together we can have more fun. Together we can achieve more. Together we can make a life worth living and create a story that's worth telling. So that's a little fun thing that I thought would be really great. I love that concept because it brings it to life to show that there's always more when we're together.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just so many golden nuggets in that. And I think that's like a great mic drop moment that really, puts the perspective in here. And everything is related. All of you yoga teachers and physical trainers, that like mind, body, spirit, like it's not random that we're built in these ways, right? So I think that's so important. And I think it's a huge shift for a lot of people who might be feeling frustrated or, like you said, caught up in competition. So I do want to put this into practice of how you like build this into your schedule or actually find the time, because there's so many things on our plates. How do you set aside time to just grow your network and build some of these relationships?
Oh, I love this question. Because we all know how important it is. Yet the first thing we do is networking goes down and down and down the to-do list every single day. And then we forget to do it. And then we're like, why aren't I getting more clients? Why don't I have more partners? Well, you're not having any conversations. So one of the easiest ways, if you find that this is something that you're struggling with, one of the easiest ways is to do something that we call habit stacking. Okay. And habit stacking basically says that anytime you already do something that you do every single day, add a new habit or a new action right after that. You stack it on top of it. So for example, if you do your emails every day at 9 a.m., and you spend 30 minutes on emails, well, right after you close your computer, right after you close your inbox, you send 5 connection emails or you send 5 prospect DMs. Okay. Now it's programmed. Hey, every morning from 9 to 9:45 now, I check my emails and I'd send my DMs. It starts to become programmed. Now the key here, and this is super, super important of how to make this stick, is you have to stack it upon a habit that is related to what you are trying to add. For example, and I'm going to exaggerate here. If I said that I wanted to add 5 new DMs every single morning to potential prospects, and I said, well, I'm going to shower every morning and then I'm going to send those DMs, that's not going to happen. There's friction. You don't have clothes on. You're soaking wet. Your phone's not with you, or maybe it is, but it's hard. There's a lot of things that need to happen before you're ready. But if you say, I'm going to do it right after my emails, boom. Now it's an automatic switch to put it in there. And so we really recommend stacking these top priorities with things that you're already doing in your day to day.
I love that. Yeah. And I take it I didn't realize I was doing this, I guess, because I use Fridays as just kind of like clean up shop days and I don't have like a ton of meetings. So I just made a calendar event every Friday to like network, because I had a little bit of the like resistance to it. So I just was like, all right, I'm going to show up to this like a dentist appointment on Friday morning. I'm going to do my networking time block. But it was also on a day that was like relevant and I was doing related activities. So I think this is kind of the 1-2 punch to make sure that you make this a priority, because it is something that compounds over time.
For sure. And I love what you did. And the next, one of the things that we always recommend too is that exact thing. Put it in your calendar, right? If it's on the calendar, it happens. If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. We also make it a priority to put connection without your business on your calendar. So date nights, those go on your calendar, right? Your workouts, put them on your calendar. Your meditation, put it on the calendar. Your whatever it is, put it on the calendar so that you will show up the same as you would for a meeting that you don't even really care about, but you still show up anyways. These are things that actually will change your life. We might as well put those as an emphasis on the things that we do.
So good, Jake. This is like, yeah, seriously, you're like a dragon. You're spitting fire today. So this is, really helpful. And I would just love to know a few last questions. So I think we got a lot of good stuff around the networking side of things, some really good actionable items. But aside from networking, for someone listening here who's like with it, like, yes, I'm going to make connections. I'm going to go for my dream life. I'm for it. What is one thing that they can do today to just get one step closer to their vision of dream life?
Oh, I love this question. When I was releasing my first book, I had all of the doubts in the world of, would it ever work? Would anybody ever read this? Would anybody buy from me? Who am I at 23 to write a career development book? And I had a conversation with my dad. And my dad said, everybody wants the shortcut. Everybody wants to see the end result. Everybody wants the fame, the success, the freedom, the wealth, everything. And he said, the only shortcut in life is to start now. And so anybody that is out there that you want it right now and you're ready to go, you just got to start today. Because starting today will create the ripple effect that'll create the dream life tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you have to understand in this pursuit, it's not about someone else's story. It's not about someone else's dream life that you're chasing. It's your dream life that you're chasing, and that's the right dream life. And when we realize that we don't have to compare our chapter 1 to someone's chapter 8, we can really stay focused, remove comparison. We can remove the guilt of having to work extra long hours or feeling that we're not showing up. And we can do the things that bring us joy in the present moment to create the dream life in the future.
So well put. So well put. And on that note, Jake, how can people continue the conversation with you, maybe slide into your DMs and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, please slide into the DMs. Would love to be a practice example for you guys, leveraging everything. But my Instagram is @Jake Kelfer. That's the best way to reach out to me. And then when you get there, you can grab a free copy of my book, Elevate Your Network. So we have that available as a resource for anyone that listens to the show.
Amazing. We'll make sure that we have links to your Instagram as well as some of your other sites in the show notes here. So thank you so much, Jake, for all of that. Everyone go out and be good and network. We didn't even say your network is your net worth. We'll leave it at that. And people can take that last cliche with them for the road. So friends, I'll be back next week with another inspiring guest that will help you make your dream life your real life. That's right, friends. That'll do it for our show today. But remember, if you're really ready to implement and take these ideas into action, then hop on over to dreamlifeisreallife.com/show, and you can access all of the resources we talked about, and more importantly, set up a complimentary 10-minute phone call with my team so that we can help you get clarity and some concrete action steps in place. So this doesn't just become another one of those feel-good moments, but an opportunity to actually make a change in your life and business, because all good things come in action. So we'll see you over there at dreamlifeisreallife.com/show and next week here on the show.